this is a story which is called The Three Knocks. And this is the story of a young woman who listened. Now, she was living in South India, and the year is 1890, so more than 120 years ago. And her name was Ida Scudder. She was an American lady, but studying in an American college, but her parents were living in India. Her father was a doctor, and her mother was, at this point, very sick. And so Ida Scudder came from America to India just to be with her mother at this time and help her mother, who was not well. And one day she was, as usual, sitting and reading a book, when unexpectedly there was a knock on her door. And when she opened the door, she found this Brahmin man standing there. And he was very upset. He said, "Amma, please come quickly to my house. My wife is not well. She's having a delivery and there's some complication, and please come quickly. I'm very worried." And so Ida said, "Hey, I'm just a college student. I have no medical training. I don't know about this. I don't know how to help you. But let me call my father. My father is a doctor. He'll be able to help. Let me call him." But he said, "No, Amma. How can any man see my wife when she's in this condition? You come, please." She said, "No, I don't know how to help you." And then sadly, he turned and left. And Ida was very upset. And then she heard another knock. And this time she opened her door, and there was a Muslim man standing outside. He said, "Amma, my wife is in labor. She's having a delivery, but she's having some complications. Can you please come and help?" And Ida was aghast. She said, "But I'm just a college student. I'm just a college girl. I have not had any medical training. Let me call my father. My father will help. He's a doctor." Once again, this person refused and left, saying, No man can help my wife when she's in this condition." And after some time, a third knock, a third person there with the same request. His wife also was in labor. And Ida gave the same reply. And this person also turned and left sadly. And Ida was very upset. And she had a very disturbed night. And when she woke up in the morning, there was a sound of 3 funeral processions walking by her door. And she ran out and went to the procession and said, "What happened?" And they said, "Oh, there was this lady. She was in labor, delivering, and she delivered, and there were some complications, and both the mother and child have died." And Ida was heartbroken. And then and there she decided that she was going to go and become a doctor and return one day to India to help women who were having this sort of problem. And she did. She went back to America, she studied, became a doctor, and came back to India and started this one-bedded dispensary where she could see some patients. And her heart was for all the poor people in the villages around who were not able to even come to the hospital, so she would go to them. She would put all some medicines into a bullock cart and go out into the villages and have a medical camp under the trees maybe, giving them medicines for those who were sick, and they would all come to her for treatment. And if there were any complicated cases, she would take them back to the hospital. But she had a bigger interest. She wanted to train many women who would be able to go out and take care of women who were having problems because of these 3 knocks that had happened on her door. And so she trained many, many women and mentored them and trained many men as well. And little by little, this one-bedded dispensary became a medical college. And it's become a hospital, a big hospital, more than 2,000 beds. Many thousands of doctors and nurses and paramedical staff have been trained in this hospital and college. And many millions of patients have come and benefited. All because of Ida Scudder, who heard the call which came to her when people came and knocked on her door, and then responded. Now, 120 years, more than 120 years have passed, isn't it? And so many things have changed and developed and progressed and grown in our country. But there are still so many health needs, isn't it? So many sick people around us, facing so many problems, and such a shortage of health care. And the question to each of us is, how do we respond? There's this saying which God says to all of us. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. That means when you serve the human beings around you, you are actually serving God. And that's something really inspiring to think about. One woman, Ida Scudder, made such a difference to the lives of so many people. Just imagine how good it would be if all of us also responded to the needs around us and made a huge difference to this country.